Good afternoon. My name is Fabio Rosini, Sales Manager of company MVM SRL. MVM has been manufacturing grinding machines for straight and circular knives for more than 60 years. Was founded in year 1959. The topic that we will discuss today is the sharpening of the circular counter knives for cutting paper, which work together with the top sliotar knives we have seen in the last webinar. Hopefully you remember. We would like to invite you also to take part to the next webinar, scheduled on Thursday, 17th December. The topic of next webinar will be grinding and lapping tungsten carbide inserts. Now I can see there are more than 200 people online. Thank you very much. We arrived on the machine now. We will briefly describe you the equipment needed to sharpen the circular counter knife. We are going to grind the circular knife on our machine LA700. This machine is equipped with Siemens PLC, 5 horsepower motor, magnetic chuck 300 mm diameter, variable rotary table speed from 3 to 35 RPM. Coolant was already prepared with around 2% oil emulsion. The centering flange is very simple. It's just a disc with the same diameter of the bottom knife, 120 mm. We will grind a circular counter knife Dines, HSS material, 150 mm diameter, hole 120 mm, with 5 degrees cutting angle. We use a Borazon B46 grinding wheel, 150 mm diameter, grain 46, already mounted on the machine. To speed up the grinding cycle, we find the flange and the circular knife already mounted on the magnetic chuck. The angle of the head is set at 5 degrees, which is the cutting angle of the bottom sliotar knife. We switch on the grinding wheel motor, rotary table speed and the coolant. We move the grinding wheel down manually until it touches the circular counter knife. Now we can start the automatic working cycle. So the machine is working according to the following parameters we already set before. Partial downfeed amount 2 microns every 10 seconds. Total downfeed amount 0.01 millimeters. Rotary table speed 20 RPM, run per minute. Spark out at the end of the working cycle 30 seconds. Of course, the machine is working automatically. It takes a few minutes to do the grinding cycle. In the meantime, I would like to give you some advices. You can change the working parameters anytime during the grinding cycle, depending on the technical features and dimensions of the circular knife and depending on type of abrasive you use. We recommend you to use borazone grinding wheel because it gets a better finishing and it's easier to use. You should direct the coolant on the knife to cool it, but away from the grinding wheel to reduce the demulization. You should use a Plexiglass protection to avoid the coolant spray outside the machine. In this case, our counter knife is made of HSS steel. If your counter knife is made of tungsten carbide, you must use a diamond grinding wheel, grain D46, which gives you a good finishing and removes a good quantity of material. In this case, the knife has one cutting angle. If your counter knife has two cutting angles, you simply grind one angle at a time with the same working cycle. It's possible also to grind multi-edge bottom knives. You just need a different equipment. You need adjustable column with vertical stroke up to 280 millimeters and a thin grinding wheel extension. It's necessary a different grinding wheel from the one we are using now. You need a very thin borazone grinding wheel to grind one angle at a time. At the end of the working cycle, we recommend you to do a spark out cycle around 30-60 seconds, decreasing the rotary table speed approximately by 50%. So in this case, we reduce the rotary speed from 20 to 10 RPM. What is the spark out cycle? The spark out cycle is the final phase of the working cycle. It means that the grinding wheel does no longer move down, so there is no downfeed. But the rotary table keeps turning. So this is very important to improve the surface finish of the knife and to reduce the burr. Longer is the spark out cycle, better is the finishing. Now the working cycle is finished. We recommend you to move the grinding wheel up before switching off the rotary table and the coolant. Now we move to the office to answer to your questions. So we are back in the office to answer to some of your questions now. Question number 1. Can the counter knife be lapped? Yes, of course. To get a better finishing, you can simply make a longer spark out cycle with a lapping grinding wheel and a lower rotary table speed. For example, you can use a Borazon grinding wheel grain B30 for lapping HSS knives and a diamond grinding wheel D15 for lapping tungsten carbide knives. It is very important you set the rotary table speed at a very low speed, for example 3 RPM. Question number 2. Can I use ceramic grinding wheel to grind the counter knives? No, we recommend to use only Borazon grinding wheel, for example grain B46, because ceramic grinding wheels wear out very quickly and get a worse finishing. Otherwise, Borazon grinding wheel get a very good finishing, can grind hundreds of blades. They last very long. Question number 3. How many times can I grind the counter knives? Well, since the total removal material for each grinding cycle is just a few tenths of millimeters, we can say that you can grind your knives several times. We don't know exactly how many times. You should ask to the manufacturer of the knives, of course. We have time for the last question, number 4. Can I grind the multi-edge bottom knives? Yes, as I said before during the demonstration, it's possible to grind also multi-edge bottom knives with the following equipment: adjustable column for vertical stroke up to 280 millimeters and grinding wheel extension. It is necessary a very thin Borazon grinding wheel, different from the one we used before. And you have to grind one cutting edge at a time. The time is really finished now. We thank you for your attention and we remind you again that during the next webinar scheduled on Thursday, 17th of December, we'll show you how to grind and lap tungsten carbide inserts. See you. Goodbye.